What's up everyone? Thank you for joining me for another video. Today I'm going to be breaking down one of the beats that appeared in my last DIGITAKT and Chill video. And yeah, just hope you learned something. If you want to know more info, of course, you can always leave a comment. And let's hear the beat. Let's jump right into it. Let's hear the final beat. Here we go. So just a very heavy, vibrant, future bass, hip hop influenced banger, if I do say so myself. So let's just break this down just component by component, and I'll just add some comments here and there about some of the choices I made, etc. So first things first, let's start with the main rhythmic melodic sample going on here. So what that is just a piano sample. It's like a longer form piano recording that I recorded. I got my start point and my length pretty short, so just a short, very short staccato sample. The variance that you're hearing is this LFO that I have assigned to the start position of the sampler. So what I've done is I've sequenced it on all 16 steps, or 32 steps, since this is a 2-page pattern. And just assign this LFO, and so that jumps the start point like ever so slightly across the piano sample, which just gives it that very nice like textured rhythmic vibe. And of course you can hear I've got this reverb cranked up quite a bit, just kind of creating a space for the sample that other samples can kind of play into. Just a note on my reverb send while we're at it. I have my decay pretty high, about 11 o'clock, and then I'm always putting my reverb pre-compressor. I like to drive my compressors very hard. I just like the sound that it gives. It just glues everything together. And yeah, I think having reverb pre-compressor is like really important for kind of creating that space around all the instruments that are going on for the track. Right on. So let's talk about drum sounds and samples. Here is my kick and my snare. So yeah, I tend to like my drum samples to be like very upfront, very present, just kind of slaps you in the face a little bit, you know. I like my tracks to be slappers, you know. So gotta pick some very, very present samples. So we have a kick drum here, which is just a very like beefy, knocky kick sample that I use in a lot of my tracks actually. Just volume turned up, and then the overdrive up to like 105. I've got here. Just really powering through when you drive the compressor really hard and you got a kick that's like a little bit beefier and louder than all your other components. It kind of ducks all the other instruments when you hear that kick drum. Just makes it feel more impactful. So for my snared sound, I have these two samples layered. So I have a super dry snare sample on 2, kind of adds that presence. And then a more reverberous clap that also has a little bit more of those higher frequencies to kind of round out everything that's going on in the frequency spectrum. Moving on to more auxiliary drum elements, we have this hi-hat going on here. Just a very modern triplet style hi-hat thing going on here. And you'll notice not only do I have a little bit of reverb on there, but really what kind of creates that subtle variant change in the sound is that if I go to the track real quick, you'll see on the LFO page, I have a relatively slow LFO assigned to the pitch of the sample. Right? Doing a lot of like subtle stuff like that really helps the beat like feel alive and less robotic, which is, unless you're creating like techno or something, is really important when you're working with like electronic instruments. You want your beats to feel alive. So far we have the melodic rhythm. Then we have our kick and our snare. And then our hi-hat. Right on. So, moving on, let's talk about bass. So what's going on there? Well, I will show you exactly what's going on. Basically a very vanilla sine style 808 sound that's been overdriven some, and I think probably in the waveform it's not perfectly a sine. I'm sure it's got a little bit of an edge to the waveform to kind of give it that beefier sound. Something that I've done here to kind of accentuate the kick drum. If you look at the amp page, on the bass, I have a little bit of a slower attack. So it kind of takes a second or, some milliseconds to rise up before we hear that full bass sound. When we hit our kick drums, we're also hitting our bass note. So just having that little bit of attack on the bass sound kind of gives room for that kick drum to punch through. It's kind of like a little side chaining thing going on. Sick. So, what do we have so far? We got our melodic rhythmic thing going on. Kick and bass. Hi-hat. Bass. And our final main audible component that's going on is this synth line that happens right here. Let's take a look at that. So track 5. Let's give it a second. Here we go. So this is actually a tiny section of a guitar sample, I believe. So if I turn the start point, kind of play that whole sample. All right. But I've just chopped it to this tiny little point and added a bunch of delay and reverb and a very subtle recurring theme, a very subtle LFO on the pitch, kind of gives it that woozy, lo-fi aesthetic, Boards of Canada type vibe. So, like I said, a lot of reverb, a lot of delay, and yeah, it just gives it that really nice, spacious vibe. So, let's hear everything. But wait, there's one more element to this track, and it may not be one that you have noticed. So that's a very textured sample of me dragging something through the sand. It's just got like a ton of reverb on it. It's got like a ton of delay and of course an LFO on the pitch. So what that does is it just kind of sits in the background of all the other elements and just kind of subtly gives the track more texture, more atmosphere. Yeah, it just makes it sound a little less sterile. Not something you actively hear, but still something that makes a difference. All right, so those are all the main components of the track. We got our melodic rhythmic thing going on. It's kind of the main idea of the track. Got our drums. Hi-hat. And then the rest. All right, everyone, thank you for tuning in to this breakdown. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed walking through how I built this beat. If you have any questions, of course, leave a comment and I will be happy to respond. Hope to see you guys soon, and yeah, cheers.